Hello students, welcome for today's e-learning session of Shri J.M. Danda Primary School, SPEI, Standard 7th, and the subject of the day is Social Science. My dear students, today we are going to start the 9th chapter, and which is the last chapter of our syllabus, and it deals with civics part of our portion. Okay, so the title of the chapter is Administration of the State. So as we have studied the third chapter, right, in the government, what have we observed? We have seen that the administration, that is the government of our country, functions at three levels: local level, state level, and the central level. We have also learned about the working of local self-government institutions, right? So here in this chapter, we are going to learn about the administration functions of the state level. So we will get to know about the functions of the state government, the roles of ministers as well as the members of the legislative assembly, the procedure of putting forward the questions and ideas of the government, also the process to ask for the fulfillment of the public demand. Okay, so here in the picture you can see that the matter about cholera has been discussed. Everyone is stressed about this epidemic. There is a procession outside. People are putting demand to take immediate action to control the epidemic and also to maintain the hygiene and take steps to stop the epidemic from spreading. So there is restlessness everywhere. So the live example of this you must have seen currently regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. So we can see how the government is playing a vital role to control this pandemic. The government has passed the rule of this isolation, social distancing, lockdowns. All these are because to avoid everyone coming in contact with this disease. Okay, so students, you might have observed the leaders of our area presenting health issues to the local officials, the district collector or the other officials. So students, you must have heard about the legislative assembly, also the MLA, that is the member of legislative assembly, right? So here we will discuss about the first of all member of legislative assembly, that is the MLA. So what is the definition of MLA? It is defined as the legislative assembly members. Okay, so the legislative assembly members are also known as the MLA, that is the member of legislative assembly. They are directly elected by the people, they form the government, and hence they are called as the representatives of the people. Okay, so the legislative assembly, the state legislative assembly is a legislative body in the states and union territories of India. Each member of legislative assembly is directly elected to serve 5-year terms by single member constituencies. Now let's learn about the Legislative Assembly of Gujarat. So Gujarat Legislative Assembly or the Gujarat Vidhan Sabha is in the state capital. And which is the capital of Gujarat? Gandhinagar. Currently 182 members of the Legislative Assembly are directly elected from single member constituencies, that is the seats, and it works for the term of 5 years until and unless it is forced to dissolve. Okay, from its majority party group or by way of a grand coalition, that is a combination cabinet of its prominent members, the state's executive, namely the government of Gujarat, is formed. The governor appoints the leader of the majority party as the chief minister, and the chief minister is invited to form the council of ministers. So till here we have seen how the Gujarat government is formed, how the governor has been appointed, and how does he appoint the chief minister, and the chief minister forms the council of ministers. So the party that forms the government is known as the ruling party, whether the other party is known as the opposition. So the Chief Minister and Council of Ministers are collectively responsible for the administration of the state and the functioning of the various ministries. Why? Because the Council of Ministers will perform their duties and Chief Minister will guide them. He will direct them to work. Okay. All the MLAs belonging to both the ruling party and the opposition assemble at the Legislative Assembly for discussions. Assemble means gather. The administrative officials who work under the guidance and control of the ministers are also a part of the executive body. The Council of Ministers are called as the government executives and the administrative officials are known as the administrative executives. Governor. So the governor is the constitutional head of the state, which has been appointed by the president and he works for the tenure of 5 years. Entire administration is carried out in his or her name. Also, he or she is responsible to ensure that the state government is working as per the constitution. Now, what are his functions? First of all, he will invite the leaders of the majority party to form the government. He administers the oath of the loyalty of the constitution and of secrecy. Also, he calls the Legislative Assembly in session and also announces its adjournment. Every bill passed by the state legislature has to receive his or her assent. Assent means his consent and then signed. A bill undergoes 3 readings in the Legislative Assembly before it is passed. After this, it is sent to the government before it becomes a law. The unsigned bill is sent back to the Vidhan Sabha with his suggestions for the MLAs to debate on his suggestions. In an emergency, the governor can issue orders called ordinances. Also, he appoints the judges of all the courts that work under the High Court. Also, he is responsible for reporting the President regarding the functions of the state government. Then comes the Chief Minister. So, who is the Chief Minister? He is head of the Council of Ministers. He is also called as CM. What he does? He allots various portfolios to different ministers for the effective administration. It means he is providing them the responsibilities. Okay, he provides different responsibilities to different ministers. Okay, so he also calls for the meetings of Council of Ministers. He supervises their work and guides them. Also, he reports the governor about the decisions taken by the Council of Ministers and forms a new Council of Ministers if necessity arises. Then comes the Council of Ministers. So, what do they do? They frame the policies for allotted departments and executes them. Also, they introduce the bill in the Legislative Assembly. For example, the Finance Minister of the state introduces the budget in the Legislative Assembly. Now, the following given are the functions and powers of the state and central government, which have been divided into 3 lists: Union list, State list, and the concurrent list. So, the Union list is having the 97 subjects. For example, census, relations with foreign countries, defense, finance, banking, and so on. State list is the list containing 66 subjects. It makes the laws with the help of the Legislative Assembly and executives of the Cabinet. The example here has been given regarding the health, forest, agriculture, and local self-government. Then comes the concurrent list, which is having 47 subjects, and here example has been given about prevention of crime, literacy, industry, employment, and so on. Now, how the meeting of Legislative Assembly occurs. So, generally Legislative Assembly discuss about the current issue of the state. The MLS express their views during the question answer session. They ask questions and give suggestions and feedback on the issue being discussed. And the concerned ministers answer the questions and brief them about the measures being taken to solve the issue. While taking a decision about anything, it is necessary to take the permission of the MLS. Okay, so they can even take decisions regarding financial matters and decide on the expenditure to be done in different areas. The speaker manages the assembly and one requires his or her permission before presenting anything. So students, I think you must have understood the chapter very well. Again, for your deep understanding in Hindi language, we have enclosed a link in your PDF file. Go through it and then complete your writing work. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day.